Hello. Okay, this has been another one of those weird, frustrating weeks in the world of boot. um, for those of you who didn't watch the first logger boot video, which is pretty much everybody on the internet, I had said that, if you just wanted to get a pair of cheap boots and stomp around, there were options. Then I had tried to explore those options, and within my size range, I had found one brand that actually came in my size for less than $200. And then after reviewing those, I found another brand that came in my size um, for actually less money. It's a slightly cheaper model because it doesn't have the inner waterproof lining and insulation. So the Carolina Elm is what they're called. And they have, now I was saying in the previous video that they looked like pretty much the exact same boot as the Georgia overall. And this is, I don't know the name of this model, but this is slightly different. This is a lace to toe construction. So it has the laces coming farther down here, and it has this kind of different construction going on here. This is the steel-toed one. But I'm not going to worry about that. I don't think this particular model comes in a steel toe, but they do have other more expensive models that do come in steel toe and such and blah, blah, blah. So one of the things I had said when I looked at the Amazon listings or whatever in the pictures, some of the Carolina boots that I had seen had brass hardware up in the sole, similar to the Adtex, whereas the Georges do not. They just have a stitch. This one does not. It also just has a stitch. But otherwise, again, it's stamped them, not Vibram. So if they all get their soles from the same place, I don't know. This is oil resistant, standard lug for outdoors use. Same plastic welt that you're going to find, in pretty much every boot under $300. Yada, yada, yada. One big difference is they apparently thought I was buying the 16-inch shaft model. So the laces are quite significantly longer than the other boot. Don't know what to say about that. They have a nice feel to them, and they'll look great in my closet when I replace them with other laces. Obviously, they have a nice looking texture to this. I do believe this is a real leather, because when you do this kind of thing, you get this, which is, supposed to be the sign of a decent low-end leather or whatever. So this texture, I assume, is not embossed. They are still they're a little more flimsy than even the AdTech ones. Like this is a little stiffer. You can kind of crush it here with your fingers, but not significantly. It has a pretty good structural consistency to it, I think. Whereas this, on the other hand, I can pinch this pretty far. There's not a lot of support here. If that's something you're kind of concerned about, you can see how much this really squishes down. Now, I can't really give an accurate comparison of that with this, because again, this construction is slightly different, and this also has a steel toe, so it's not going to crush up here at all. Whether you could put a cap toe on this or this one, I'm not really sure. This has more of a kind of a square rounded toe box. It might look okay with a cap toe, but it certainly does not have a steel toe. The inside I assume is the same. Again, this one has the lining, so I can't really tell what the guts look like. So let me talk about that for a second before I get too much into this one again. I had explained, I think, that I had bought these and just kind of kept them because I figure, okay, it's okay to have a steel toe boot. Then I saw them on sale, so I had to actually return those original ones and got these, which have kind of a wonky stitch through here. And so I guess that's why I saved $30 is because they're not sewn quite as nice. Maybe there's some other defects. I don't know. It looks like the welt might have a little bit of a crack to it there, but I'm not sure if that's just where it naturally gathers. But long story short, it doesn't matter because I plan to get the welts redone with leather somewhere down the line and yada, yada, yada. And so I had ordered and received a second pair without the steel toe that I used for that review of the head-to-head of this brand against itself. Well, when I went to wear them that night, it turns out that the second pair I had bought was a mixed matched pair in the box. So I ended up having to return those, and I put, please exchange, and then they refunded me anyway. So I guess I don't know if that's a discontinued model or if that company just is lazy. But so I reordered those, and they haven't arrived yet because I actually want those for personal use, just to have them, and I'll talk about that more in another video. Meanwhile, these, on the other hand, before I had ordered those, when I saw these, I went ahead and ordered them just so I could do a comparison like this and see what we think. So again, I don't have the other pair here, and I don't have the, I haven't gone to the cobbler yet and had him rip them apart and see what's inside of them and all that. But like I said, I assume what's inside of here is the same as there. So you had a paperboard kind of heel counter here, which is, basically junk. This one too, also, same thing. So I don't know if they can replace that with leather when I go in. Like I said, if I wanted to have a toe cap added, I might, because on the steel toe boot, you're not going to need it as much. Aesthetically, you might need it, but nothing's going to poke through if your leather wears out. You'll just have an ugly hole, whereas a single toe on a boot like this, again, I think any kind of reinforcing that I could have them do would be good. So anyway, the reason I launched into the whole bit about the other boots is I did not get a chance to wear the regular Georgia boots, but I did get to wear the steel-toed ones for about 2 hours. And I did find them actually, despite the kind of snug fit that worried me at first, I actually found them really pretty comfortable. There was a lot more padding kind of in the heel than kind of down here in the toe. So over time, I'm definitely probably going to feel that and how that would be different than leather, where supposedly it's painful at first and then gets more comfortable. These, I guess, will start off comfortable and get more painful. And again, eventually that just means I'll get them rebuilt and they'll be leather, and we'll see what happens after that. These I didn't wear because I only got them yesterday, but I did try them on, and they're a lot more roomy in the foot overall, which for me was actually almost a breaking point because, like I said in every other boot video, the fit is the most important thing to me most of the time. How cool they look doesn't matter if my feet are totally sliding around in them. I put them on with pretty thick socks compared to what I would want to wear with this boot because, again, this isn't waterproofed and lined and all that stuff, so I'm not buying it as a winter boot. I want to be able to use this in summer, which means I want to be able to wear this with a thinner sock. Probably ain't gonna happen. So what I have, though, is I do have some gel insoles from an old pair of boots that I can slip in there in the meantime to give them a proper test drive. The Georgia boots, doing more head-to-head, they have this kind of suede under thing here, and then that kind of ends, and then the decoration kind of covers it up. So basically, down in the tongue, you have a pretty similar tongue, except here you have all this foam. I assume that once the foam kind of wears out a little bit, this will thin out and it'll be a little easier to lace them up. But this seam here does kind of cut into the leg a little bit. So I don't know if that should be curved up this way or curved down this way to kind of fix that. So again, I might have a shoe guy look into maybe putting a little bit of leather near here or trimming this leather a little bit to kind of see how that can be modified to not have that stress point right on my leg, because after 2 hours that was the one thing that had annoyed me, was just having that tongue seam. So, like I said, they were pretty comfortable for steel toe boots for 2 hours. They weren't bad, and I just did like a regular walk. I wasn't doing any extreme mountain walking or anything. So this one, it doesn't have the little tongue protector thing, the kilty, if you will, but it does have this kind of rough out, and you can see how it comes up here, but that's decorative on the outside more than. No, well, slightly. It does cut in. Okay. I don't know if I can show that very good. Well, where that kind of ends is where it kind of ends inside too. So like I said, a little bit of a rounded in this seam coming up higher will maybe be slightly more comfortable, and it's gusseted up to about where it is, the first eyelet or the first speed hook. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they're giving you the same amount of brass. So that's basically the same. This one has the Georgia, like I said, has one extra lace down here. That's basically what changes there significantly. What we don't have, they don't have any rivets. They just have all this stitching. This one has, as you can see, the rivet and the stitching. So, like I said, slightly different look, slightly different fit. If you have bigger feet than mine, you might like the fit better. For me, it was a little bit too roomy. So, like I said, hopefully like I said, usually within that case, I would just send them back. But since I don't have any other options in my size except for these two, I guess I'm just going to kind of keep them and see how it goes with the gel insoles. But the foam in here, definitely nowhere near as nice as the other one. Total discomfort straight out of the box. I can literally feel the rubber. Like the amount of squish in here is just to fool you into thinking that they put any sort of comfort into this boot at all. There's zero. It is literally horrible. So, again, thank you, Dr. Scholl, because otherwise I would literally send these back. And they look cool. They definitely have a cool look, you know. Although I kind of like this lace to toe look better just because they don't look like any other boots that I already have. So they're kind of unique in that way. But if you're not trying to be unique, or you want your boots to just look like boots, these look like boots. Um, so yeah, again, I don't know if the shoe guy can do anything about adjusting the leather, like where it was pulled around the last initially, if that can be pulled tighter when they resole them. Maybe I can get a better fit out of them. Again, like I said, I would almost want to reinforce the entire boot with a second layer of leather just because I want again, for $140. Yeah, I don't expect high quality, but I don't expect this much non support at all. Like that's just silly. Like I need a tougher, because again, the thorough good that we decry is, why would anybody make a logging boot out of this? It's so pliant, and it still has more structural consistency than this. Obviously, it's a little harder to show with the mock toe because of the, and so yeah, you can still pinch it in. But if I got a cap, or not a cap toe, a round toe of the thorough good, and put a logger sole on it, this would still have a little bit more to it than this one. Like, I just don't know how else to put it into words. So as much as guys are like Thorogood, and again, Thorogood does make their own logger boots. They just don't happen to come in my size. So you may already have experience with that more than I do or ever will. But I have seen guys put logger heel on a Thorogood like this, and I'm like, why would you do that? Because again, now you're spending way more money on the boot, way more money on the resole, whereas this one was only 140 bucks. So even if I have to resole it, it's still not going to be technically the same quality as this. But again, if we're going by budget and this and that and this and that, again, so the two, which would I prefer? I mean, this one's not on sale anymore. I think I got like the one pair, but this one literally cost me almost half the price of this one. And like I said, apart from it being even more snug than the Georgia boot, like I said, this leather is going to hold up maybe a little better to the kind of outdoor abuse I would, expect it to protect me from. Whereas I don't know how much protection I'm actually going to get from this. So out of the three, I would go with this brand over this brand. And for pure saving money, obviously I save money for this brand, and it might still have some features and things that I actually prefer to this one. But this one looks really cool. So if I just walked into a store and didn't know anything about boots and just wanted a pair to stomp around, I guess they're fine. But like I said, um, overall, I was a little disappointed actually. I thought these were going to be superior, and I think the Georgia boots are superior. So I guess that's about all I have to say for that right now.